Hello and welcome once again to another golf professional swing analysis. For all of you golf fans out there watching the major championships, the Masters, the Tour Championship, just recently finished, Jordan Spieth, just a young 20-year-old American from Texas, seems to be in contention pretty much every week, which is amazing for such a young player. Jordan was a fantastic amateur golfer. Played a few PGA Tour events as an amateur. In fact, finished tied for 16th in 2010 when he was only 16 years old in the Byron Nelson Championship in Texas, his hometown, of course. He has a golf swing on TV that looks very, powerful and correct, but he has a few interesting features to his swing, as all the top players do. The first thing to note with Jordan is he's very athletic and strong and slim and physically works out. He's not a very long hitter. His average off the tee is around 280 yards, which is by modern day standards relatively short for a tour player. In terms of gaining more distance if he needs to, obviously that's a good thing, but you've got to be careful you don't lose some of the good aspects to your swing. We've got a very good stable camera on the down the line view. You can see I've drawn some reference lines in there. The face on view, however, is a little bit blurry. The angle's not great. It's a little bit too far forward, so I've just drawn some lines there on the outer sides of his legs. When I look at Jordan Spieth's swing, one of the things that I notice is he has a very unusual grip. He's an interlocker, but he seems to have his right hand pushed in quite a long way, where almost holds the club a bit in the palm of his right hand. The left hand index finger, which is interlocking with the small finger of the right hand, the finger seems to hang out and looks a little bit untidy, and there's a few little things in his swing that perhaps as he gets older he can tidy up and perhaps look a little bit better. But in terms of results right now, I'm sure he's not too concerned about changing his grip and anything like that. Very good swing. So we'll start off with the down the line view. As you see, great posture. Everything looks very well defined in terms of his spine angle. Some flex in his knees. His arms hang a good distance from his body, so that's fantastic. Front on, as I said, the camera's a bit off. The ball position being around here, head behind the ball. A little unusual with the grip. It's a little hard to see from that video, but as we start him back, you'll see the great position he is here, where the face of the club is very square to the path of his swing, so the club face stays square to the arc, like where his club is there. Interesting to note is already his body has moved back here a little bit behind that butt line at address, if you will, and most good players, you will see that they're very deep in their hip turn. The right hip moves back and somewhat away from the ball. You'll notice here that the left index finger with the glove, you see, kind of sticks out and looks a little bit untidy, and you don't typically see that with most great players who interlock, but Jordan does for whatever reason. As he gets more up into the top of his swing, you'll notice quite an obvious deepening of the hips. That right hip has really moved back in there. Often that will come with a lowering of the head, which we see here that has happened. Very athletic position to do that. Right leg, whilst it's lost some flex, it's not straight. It's still got some flex in it. Club face is beautifully squared there at the top. Nice flat left wrist, which is one of the things I always look for. Just a very good top of the backswing position. Went back nicely on plane. Fairly upright backswing, which again is a trait pretty common among good players, where the club shaft points a little bit inside of the ball to the top of the swing. Now when you look at that same golfer from the front view, this is not the same swing, and obviously on a different day, different golf course. But as he makes his backswing, tremendous width in the backswing. No evidence of any early hinge in the left wrist. As he moves into the top of the swing, Interesting for a young player that the left arm is noticeably bent. You'd be surprised that most good players, the left arm is not straight. So many amateur golfers believe it's critically important the left arm remains straight, but as you can see here, Jordan's evidence that that's just not the case. Fantastic strength and support in the lower body. So as his upper body's turned and created some coil in the body, the lower body is resisting the turn of the upper, which is very, very important to create power. Even though the left arm is slightly bent, he's still got a good amount of distance or width between his chest and his hands. So I'm sure that there's no attempt to try to keep that left arm straight, and certainly wouldn't be worried about trying to change that. Now, as Jordan transitions into his downswing, something that happens among every great player, no exception, is that they move into their left side to start the downswing. They physically move into the left. You see how he moves back into this red line, which is where he started from. He moves back into that left side, even before the club's begun to swing down. Once he gets back to that red line, he continues to move even more out to his left side. So his weight is favouring the left side as the club comes down and approaches the ball. Now that is very, very important for good ball striking. So many amateurs think you must stay in the box, you must rotate your body and keep your head still. That's just simply not the case. You can see his lower body is moved forward towards the target. Obviously this comes with an amount of rotation with the lower body, but there is physically a movement to the left. It's very much a powerful move to do that. Focusing on the down the line view, as he's making that move towards the target, what happens to the club shaft is the club shaft starts to lay down a little bit. Remember, as Jordan swung this club back, his club shaft was up in this position, and as he transitions forward, you'll see the club shaft lay down just a little bit to a flatter position here, which gets him nicely on plane to attack the ball. Right? If the club shaft was to stay up as upright as it was in the backswing, he'd have some problems with hitting the ball. Let's just watch that again. So the club shaft lays down a little bit on the plane. Amazing athletic ability to be able to keep the depth in the body here, keeping the hips away from the ball. Too many people move in towards the ball with their hips, pushes the body up, creates all sorts of problems from impact. But you can see the depth of Jordan's hips here, his pelvis away from the ball, and that accounts for the lowering of the head. So many good players do this, yet many people think that would be wrong. It's just simply a very common trait among good players to keep those hips away from the ball, allow the arms to swing past the body with enough room. And as he strikes the ball right here, clearing of the hips, his lower body is opened up quite a bit more from what it was addressed. The shoulders are square, perhaps they're just a touch open. His right heel is already quite a bit off the ground. Other players would be a bit more down with that heel. You can see Jordan's right heel is up quite a bit. Now looking at that from the front view as he comes into the ball, again, his camera angle is a little bit off, but we still get a good idea of how much lean he has on that shaft. So it's very much a downward strike, a very flat, strong left wrist through that hitting zone, with the weight very much favouring the left side. As he comes through nice and wide through the ball, so a nice full finish. Now, a couple of interesting aspects there to Jordan's footwork. You can see how much he seems to roll on that outside of his left foot, and as he starts to roll, he also tends to lift it and has a bit of a spin. Now that's just an iron swing, so you could imagine with the driver, where there's a bit more speed involved, he may even have a bit more of that lifting and spinning with the left foot. Okay. Club comes out, getting back to the down the line view again. The club comes out beautifully on the other side of his body, his exits over here, still beautifully on plane. Body starts to straighten up, of course. And you can see the very good, nicely balanced follow through. Right foot tends to swing out a little bit over here, but that's not a big issue. You certainly can see how that left foot is very much on the outside of his left foot with the weight. More evidence his weight fully got into his left side. Now Jordan Spieth is only 20 years old. He's number 8 in the world as I do this video today, which is an amazing accomplishment. I just hope he just allows himself to develop. Don't try to rush and expect too much of himself. The media, give him a chance to gain some experience. And this is a young guy. He's going to be around for a long time, win a lot of tournaments, and certainly a player to watch out for.